Imagine stepping onto a flight, ready for first-class comfort, only to be met with icy stares and dismissive whispers. Picture being judged, ignored, and treated like an outsider simply because of the color of your skin. This is the story of a black woman who endured humiliating prejudice in the luxury cabin, unaware that the flight attendants and passengers condescendingly dismissing her were making the biggest mistake of their careers. She held a secret identity that would soon send shockwaves through the entire aircraft. How did the tables turn so dramatically? Stay tuned to witness the stunning moment everyone realizes exactly who they messed with. Subscribe and drop a comment below, you don't want to miss this ending. Maya Thompson stepped out of the car, the airport terminal buzzing around her. She smoothed her tailored jacket, adjusted the silk scarf at her neck, and headed towards the priority check-in for first class. The polished floors and soft lighting were meant to convey exclusivity, but Maya felt the familiar weight of eyes lingering on her, glances filled with silent questions and assumptions. A black woman traveling alone in first class often seemed to disrupt unspoken expectations. At the counter, a crisp attendant offered a tight, professional smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. "Good morning. Economy check-in is that way," she said, gesturing vaguely without looking at Maya's documents. Maya kept her own smile polite but firm. "I'm flying first class," she stated evenly, sliding her boarding pass across the polished counter. The attendant hesitated, her eyes flicking down to the pass. A faint flush rose on her cheeks. "Oh. My apologies, Ms. Thompson. Right this way. Let me take care of that for you." Her voice was suddenly overly solicitous, the earlier dismissal replaced by forced deference. "Thank you," Maya replied, her tone level. She'd learned long ago that reacting emotionally rarely served her well. Observation and patience were her preferred tools. After checking her luggage, Maya moved through security and into the serene oasis of the first-class lounge. Plush armchairs, sparkling chandeliers, and a gourmet buffet were on display. Yet, as she entered, conversations dipped, and heads turned. The silent assessment began again. Was she famous? An upgrade? Did she belong? Maya ignored the scrutiny, found a quiet corner, and opened a book, though her mind was far from the pages. She noted how the lounge staff hovered attentively around other passengers, offering drinks and snacks with warm smiles, while their interactions with her were brief, almost reluctant. When boarding for her flight was announced, Maya gathered her belongings and joined the priority line. The gate agent's smile faltered for a split second upon scanning her boarding pass before she waved her through with a standard, "Enjoy your flight." The first-class cabin was a haven of individual suites, promising privacy and personalized service. Maya located her seat, 3A, and began stowing her carry-on in the overhead bin. She noticed the man in 3C, Mr. Harrison, shift uncomfortably, his lips thinning as he watched her. His disapproval was almost palpable. Before she could even sit down, a flight attendant approached. Her uniform was immaculate, her blonde hair pulled back tightly. Her name tag read, Jessica Miller. Jessica's smile was bright but brittle, her gaze assessing Maya with a mixture of professional obligation and subtle disdain. "Excuse me, ma'am," Jessica began, her voice sweet but edged. "Are you sure this is your assigned seat? Let me just double-check that for you." Maya met her gaze calmly and handed over her boarding pass. "I'm quite sure, thank you." Jessica glanced at the pass, her brow furrowing slightly before smoothing out. "Ah, yes. My mistake. Welcome aboard," she said, handing it back. The smile didn't reach her eyes. Maya settled into the luxurious seat, the soft leather cool against her skin. She could feel Jessica's eyes lingering for a moment before the attendant moved on. Almost immediately, the whispers started. Mr. Harrison leaned towards his companion across the aisle, muttering something that elicited a low chuckle. Maya caught a fragment, probably an upgrade. She sighed inwardly, turning her attention to the window. Years of navigating these subtle and not-so-subtle aggressions had taught her resilience, but the sting never entirely vanished. For now, she would wait. The truth, she knew, had a way of revealing itself. As the final passengers boarded, Jessica bustled through the cabin, offering pre-departure champagne with practiced charm. She paused beside Mr. Harrison. "Mr. Harrison, champagne before takeoff?" she asked warmly. "Only the good stuff, Jessica," he replied with a self-satisfied grin. "Of course, sir," she beamed. Jessica then moved down the aisle, pointedly skipping Maya's seat. "Excuse me," Maya called out, her voice polite but clear, cutting through the cabin's low hum. "Could I have a glass as well, please?" Jessica stopped, turning slowly. Her smile tightened. "Oh. Certainly. One moment." She retrieved a glass and handed it to Maya with minimal eye contact and no warmth. "Here you are." "Thank you," Maya said, holding Jessica's gaze until the attendant looked away and hurried off. The pattern continued throughout the initial phase of the flight. Small slights wrapped in a thin veneer of professional courtesy. When another attendant, Kevin, began taking meal orders, Jessica intercepted him near Maya's row, whispering something while glancing pointedly in Maya's direction. Maya heard double-check and mistake. Kevin hesitated, looking uncertainly between Jessica and Maya, before moving on without taking Maya's order. A familiar frustration welled up, but Maya pushed it down, maintaining her outward composure. She straightened her posture, focusing on the clouds drifting past the window. Later, Mr. Harrison leaned across the aisle again. "First time flying up front, miss?" he asked, his tone condescending, loud enough for others to hear. "Can be a bit overwhelming, I imagine." Maya turned slowly, her expression unreadable. "No, it isn't," she replied simply. "Is it your first time?" Harrison blinked, taken aback by her directness. He forced a laugh. "Hardly. Just, you seemed a little out of place, that's all." "And what, exactly, does out of place look like to you, Mr. Harrison?" Maya asked, her voice quiet but firm. He flushed slightly, muttering, "Didn't mean anything by it," before turning pointedly back to his screen. The tension remained. When Jessica returned for the meal service, she approached Maya with a practiced expression of regret. "I'm terribly sorry, Miss Thompson, but we seem to have run out of the filet mignon," she said, though Maya could see the dish being served to Mr. Harrison just moments before. "Would you prefer the chicken or the vegetarian pasta?" Maya raised an eyebrow. "That's surprising. You seem to have enough for Mr. Harrison just now." Jessica's composure faltered. "Well, sometimes inventory is limited. I can check the galley again, perhaps there's an extra." She retreated quickly. A few minutes later, she returned with the fillet, placing it silently in front of Maya before moving on without a word. Maya ate her meal slowly, aware of the continued glances but refusing to let them diminish her presence. As the cabin lights dimmed for the long overnight stretch, Maya reclined her seat. Sleep was elusive. She heard snippets of conversation from the galley, Jessica's sharp, frustrated tones, Kevin's more hesitant replies. "Why does she have to make things difficult?" Jessica complained. "Just ignore her," Kevin seemed to suggest. Maya closed her eyes, focusing on her breathing. She pulled out her phone, shielded the screen, and typed a brief, encrypted message. A small, knowing smile touched her lips as she hit send. The wheels were in motion. Hours passed. Jessica made another pass with water bottles, her movements mechanical. When she reached Maya, her hand trembled slightly as she offered the bottle. The power dynamic was subtly shifting, even if Jessica didn't understand why. As dawn approached, the cabin slowly came alive. The crew prepared for breakfast service, their movements efficient but subdued. Jessica avoided Maya's gaze entirely. When the plane began its descent, Jessica came through with landing cards, her demeanor strained. "Ms. Thompson," she confirmed, glancing at her clipboard, then at Maya, a flicker of unease in her eyes. "Will you require any assistance upon arrival?" No, thank you, Jessica. I believe everything is arranged, Maya replied, her voice calm but carrying a weight that made Jessica pause. The plane landed smoothly. As passengers disembarked, Jessica stood near the cockpit door, offering forced smiles. When Maya approached, Jessica's professional mask slipped. Thank you for flying with us, Ms. Thompson. Maya paused, meeting her gaze directly. I have a feeling we'll be seeing each other again, Jessica, she said quietly, before stepping onto the jet bridge. At the end of the bridge, a man in a sharp suit waited. Ms. Thompson, he said, nodding respectfully. His name tag read David Chen, Director of Operations. Welcome. Everything is ready for you. Thank you, David, Maya replied, her voice carrying a newfound authority. She followed him through the bustling terminal to a private executive lounge. The atmosphere shifted from the tension of the flight to one of quiet efficiency. The captain and the flight crew from your flight are waiting in the conference room, as requested, David informed her. Excellent. Let me see the preliminary incident report first, Maya instructed. David handed her a slim folder. Maya scanned the pages, her expression impassive. Jessica's notes were predictably skewed, passenger in 3A demanding, question procedures, appeared confrontational. Maya closed the folder. The service standards were clearly not met, David. Please bring them in. Moments later, Jessica, Kevin, the captain, and two other attendants filed into the room, their expressions ranging from nervous to bewildered. They took seats around the large conference table. Maya remained standing. Good morning, she began, her voice echoing slightly in the quiet room. I want to address the service on Flight 712 this morning. While I appreciate the complexities of your roles, there are non-negotiable standards of conduct and service this airline upholds. Standards that were, frankly, ignored. Her gaze settled on Jessica. Ms. Miller, perhaps you can explain the discrepancies in service provided to passengers in the first-class cabin? Specifically, the selective attention and dismissive attitude demonstrated towards the passenger in seat 3A? Jessica paled. Ma'am. Ms. Thompson. I don't understand. I wasn't aware my service was under specific observation. Precisely, Maya said, her voice cutting through the tension. You weren't aware. Because you made assumptions based on appearance, rather than providing equitable service to all passengers. She paused, letting the weight of her words sink in. You didn't know who I was. The room was utterly silent. Jessica stared, comprehension dawning slowly and painfully on her face. Mr. Harrison, had he been present, would have been equally stunned. My name is Maya Thompson, she stated, her voice clear and steady. And as of 3 weeks ago, I am the new chief executive officer of this airline. A collective gasp went through the room. Shock, embarrassment, and dawning realization washed over the crew's faces. Jessica looked as though she might faint. Ms. Miller, Maya continued, her tone firm but controlled, your actions reflected poorly not just on you, but on this entire company. Your assumptions and biases are unacceptable. Mr. Chen will arrange for you and Kevin to be placed on temporary suspension pending mandatory retraining focused on empathy, cultural competency, and our core service values. Whether you return to active duty will depend on the outcome of that retraining and a subsequent review. She addressed the entire group. This isn't just about punishment. It's about reaffirming our commitment. Every single person who flies with us deserves to be treated with dignity and respect, regardless of their background, race, or appearance. That is the standard. That is the expectation. We will rebuild our culture around empathy, excellence, and equity. Consider this day one. Later, after the others had been dismissed, Jessica requested a private word with Maya. Her previous defensiveness was gone, replaced by genuine remorse. Ms. Thompson. I am so deeply sorry. For how I treated you, for the assumptions I made. It was wrong. There's no excuse. Maya regarded her steadily. Apologies are meaningful when followed by changed behavior, Jessica. You have an opportunity now to learn and grow. Don't waste it. In the following weeks and months, Maya Thompson's leadership initiated a tangible shift within the airline. Comprehensive training programs were rolled out, accountability measures strengthened, and a renewed focus on inclusive, equitable service became the mantra from the boardroom to the boarding gate. Jessica completed her retraining, emerging humbled but determined. She became an unexpected advocate for the new initiatives, sharing her own painful lessons. Maya's journey wasn't just about correcting a single instance of discrimination, it was about fundamentally reshaping a corporate culture, proving that leadership meant setting a standard of respect that permeated every level. The airline, under her guidance, began to soar, not just in profits, but in reputation, becoming known for the very values Maya had insisted upon from day one, a testament to the power of demanding and embodying change. Here's the takeaway: never underestimate anyone based on appearances. Preconceived notions, especially about race, often say more about the judger than the judged. Real strength and value aren't always loud or obvious. Let's carry this into our own lives. Treating everyone with basic respect isn't just kind, it's smart. You truly never know who you're interacting with. Did this story make you think? I genuinely want to know what resonated with you, so please share in the comments below. If you felt that moment of justice, give this video a like, and subscribe so we can keep sharing these important stories together.